In the past, our transportation invoices was handled very manually. To audit on shipment level was not really possible anymore for us. So I think the decision is either you hire more FTEs or you automate. And for us, it was a no-brainer to go for the automation.
Within ASICS, we are a Japanese company, right? And we really live the value of Kaizen, so of a continuous optimization in our way of working, in our processes, but as well, in order to do so, we need a tremendous amount of data and information in order to really make the right fact-based decisions. And the initial scope or the initial idea for the project with Transporeon was really to get more insights into our logistics spends, into our logistics flows, and try to understand efficiencies or inefficiencies within the flow.
For finance, it was from end to end all manual. How they received the invoices from different carriers, which was very individual, the setup. There was no standard way for our accounts payable team to gather the invoices. Then when they had the invoices and put it in the system, it would come to my team for cost coding. That was a manual process. It was also very complex in the end because of the additional channels that we onboarded via omnichannel. After the cost coding, it would, depending on the size of or the amount of the invoice, it would go via 3 to 4 approval rounds, and then it will be approved for payment. So all of this was manual. This was never something we ever thought about changing, but when we saw the possibilities that we could automate basically from end to end, it was a no-brainer for us. We initially started looking at possibilities for reporting. We had about a year where we investigated options for us to do this internally. Very complex because of all the carriers' different ways of reporting, the structure of their data.
We looked into several ways how to achieve our goal, right? And one way was to understand, can we have direct interfaces with our carriers, with our partners, and basically we receive data from multiple sources and build it on our own. But very swiftly, when we talked with Transporeon and obviously with other partners, we saw that basically replicating the process for us manually would mean much higher effort.
We actually could clear quite a lot of issues before implementation. So whilst we're busy with the project, very detailed discussions were held with the carriers to understand rate cards, to understand how they apply costs. Where there were uncertainties or grey areas we could already clarify beforehand. One of the interesting things that came out was that some of our rate cards were incomplete. Some of the surcharges were missing, or there were a lot of grey areas on how to interpret the surcharges. So when we actually then arrived at the UAT phase, it was clear and it was in a certain amount already a cleaned out version of what we would expect. So really mimicking the live data that we would see. We did quite a lot of checks also with our internal audit teams to ensure that we are compliant on audit level now that we basically removed approval rounds. But in fact, we realized we would actually be more compliant with this automated process than what we were still working in a manual way. The most important benefit that we got was that it was automated and standardized. There's no more personal interpretations. There's no more delays because of approvals that needs to happen. We now have the benefit of access to indisputable data. This means we don't question what we see. We know it's correct. We can make clear analysis from what we see and be proactive in the way where we allocate costs. Also for ASICS, it's important for us to work in a Lean Six Sigma way. So this now gives us the benefit of having data on hand in order for us to make small initiatives based on what we see. The financial improvements for me is to look at the customers that we serve, our top tier customers. If they receive the correct transport service from us now, we could change it due to the visibility that we now have. A lot of people have got a fear of automation because it's a sense that they lose control of the business. But actually you control it more because I've got visibility. I can make informed decisions now where in the past that was not really possible, or I worked with very outdated data. Transporeon definitely fulfilled our expectations, which I had to admit was very high. We had clear guidance on how to manage the project. It was very ambitious timelines that we gave Transporeon, which they agreed upon. So what we currently have with Transporeon, after the onboarding has now been completed, is that we have monthly business reviews where we discuss any changes that we can make to the setups and also sharing best practices. For us, it was very beneficial, and this is one of the reasons why we selected Transporeon as a service provider, because we didn't buy a rigid service. They could customize it according to our flows and our requirements.